Right, today we continue our study of the suttas. Today we are into chapter ST 39.10. Chapter 10 of ST 39, page 173. Kamma Mallikā Sutta. Notice again the brackets. The original title is Mallikā Sutta, and a number of suttas with this name. So we have the prefix Kamma. That is about Kamma. Mallikā, as you know, is a famous queen of Vasinadi, and she asked, in this sutta, she asked the Buddha questions about karma. So the translation of the title is the discourse to Mallikā and Kamma. Karma. Karma is a Sanskrit English word. The reference A4197. A4197. Now, karma is a very important teaching in Buddhism, and it's also the most misunderstood. Anyone can think it their way, so to speak, and some people don't even believe in karma. There's some Buddhists who feel that they're not ready to accept karma, they're not ready to accept rebirth. These are the modern Buddhists. The reason why some people still claim that they can't accept karma or rebirth is because they say they can't prove it. How do we prove, for example, good begets good, evil begets evil? Because if we look around, we see today a lot of bad people prospering. A lot of bad people get their way, especially if they're rich, with the money or power. And the good usually suffers. Here, let me pick up this point. The good usually suffers. This is a very important teaching, actually. And very often I tell people just this sentence, and it's very healing to them. For example, in counseling sessions, people come here and they tell me their problems, and then they say, why do I suffer? Why do I suffer like this? Why don't the other party suffer, for example? The answer is very simple. You are suffering because you are a good person. That's why you're suffering. That is the first sign, very common sign we notice when you are right, when you are good. Very often we suffer for being right, we suffer for being good. Of course, I'm not saying all the time this happens, but this is a very good sign that we are doing something right. Sometimes we suffer for it. Why? Because the world generally goes in the opposite direction. So if we try to be good, we have to work really hard to go in the opposite direction. Sometimes people don't understand us. Sometimes we try to say something different. People think we are trying to be clever, or we are wrong, and so on. So it's okay to suffer, in other words, as long as we learn. So this is a very important aspect to understand when we talk about suffering. Suffering leads to learning. It must lead to learning. Otherwise, it's just senseless pain. Whenever you're suffering, you should tell yourself, there's something here I've not learned yet, but there's something I'm missing here. That's why I'm suffering. Right? And there are many ways to talk about this missing thing in our life. One simple way is to say that we are looking at the whole thing the wrong way. That's why we are suffering. Wrong way means what? We are looking at it from the ignorance level. We do not know what to look for, what we are looking at. We do not know why our teenage children behave that way, for example. So we've got to educate ourselves. We don't know why people feel depressed or get upset. We've got to study psychology, for example. So you need wisdom. But there's another important reason why we suffer, because we do not know how to be happy. We think that happy is in what we have. The more we have, yet we're still not happy. So this is where we have to understand that happiness or joy is a habit we've got to cultivate. Very simply, we can say you've got to keep on telling yourself, I'm going to be happy, I feel happy, I can remember happy moments in my life, something like that. In a word, metta, loving kindness. That's another area we have often talked about. So being happy is a habit, right? So you notice, talking in this way, we don't talk about karma. You can actually, change your lifestyle. You can be happy if you want to. So you might say, where does karma fit in? Well, one way of looking at karma is that through loving kindness you can influence the process of your karma. Even if you, unmindfully break the precepts, for example. And normally if you break the precept, you are a good person. When you break the precept, you will be unmindful usually. Because if you mindfully break it, then of course it's unwholesome. So if you unmindfully break it, it's quite uncertain sometimes. Sometimes technically you did not break the precept, but on the other hand, the fact that you feel you have broken the precept doesn't make it that you don't feel right about it. And that is why we suffer. Because we feel, I shouldn't have done this. Right? And we suffer because we lack wisdom. So if you understand wisdom, you say, okay, I have no intention, and this is what intention means, then you won't suffer. So suffering arises in the lack of wisdom, from ignorance. So why do people say you don't believe in karma then? Well, they can't prove it, they say. Well, one answer I can give here is that it is karma, take it as a theory, let's say. We take it as a theory. It's a much better theory, or even hypothesis, if you like, since you say it's not proven, it's a hypothesis, better than, say, a God idea. For example, in God idea, if you do something wrong, you ask for forgiveness, and God will forgive you, and then you go back doing something wrong. So it's not going to be very helpful. And there's so many gods, different people, different races, different groups, different religions. So whose God is right? So it's best to put the God idea aside. Karma, on the other hand, it is a kind of universal pattern of things. Call it a law, if you like. It doesn't, there is no one taking charge of it. It is something that works by itself. One way to understand this is to see karma as habit, as a habit. Okay? Let's say if you habitually think of something sad, you like to wear black clothing, see sad movies, all this talk of problems, of course you'll be depressed. Well, in a sense, you might say you have created a kind of karma. And then the things that you do also will be depressive, also will be giving sadness to other people. And then begin to affect your health. Right? So you can blame karma on that, it's your habit. Well, the point is that's one way how karma works, from your intentional actions. So that's why the Buddha says karma is intentions. How do you live intentionally? So if you think of only building up money, you think that, if I want to be successful, I must have a lot of money. If I have a lot of money, people will listen to me. I can do what I want. I can pay my way through life, so to speak. And it's not really that simple. Because if you are stupid and you have a lot of money, you're going to be more destructive than people who have no money. And you're creating more bad karma in a bigger way. So here, in other words, you will have what you wish for, you will have what you pray for, and that's the greatest problem you're going to face. Because what we pray for may not be good for us. We normally pray selfishly. That is why loving kindness is sometimes called a wordless prayer. Yes, we use words when we start off loving kindness, but there comes a point we feel so joyful, we don't need words anymore. That's the highest kind of prayer. Word is without words. You're full of joy, and you share the joy with others. If you have joy, you don't need anything else but during that moment. In fact, we don't say you have joy, we say you are joy, you are joyful. So, if you are joyful, you're unlikely to create bad karma. Even the bad karma you have created will not have a chance to ride in. That is why practicing loving kindness is very important. It helps you to keep the precepts. And it helps to prevent the ripening of bad karma. Learn to be happy, learn to be joyful. That's why the Buddha is called Sugato. Sugato can also mean the happy one, if you like. The well gone one, welcome one. So, even though we say, to those people who don't believe in karma, I would say take it provisionally. After all, as long as we're not awakened, we can accept something provisional. Or maybe we should ask ourselves, why is it we don't believe in karma? Why is it that we reject karma and rebirth? Maybe we're still influenced by our old religions, the Western religions, for example. Right? So we have to examine all these things. So karma is useful provisionally. In other words, karma works from causes to effects, effects becoming causes, leading to effects, it goes like that. In other words, conditionality. And that's another interesting point to understand here. Let's say I'm sitting here very long, and after I feel very tired, very upset, very angry. Is that karma? Of course that's not karma. That is simply being tired and I get upset because I'm tired, because I feel that I've been talking too long and I don't want to do this anymore. So it's just a feeling of being irritated. A lot of people feel that way, there's nothing wrong feeling that way, but it is wrong if we use that anger and it affects other people, it makes other people unhappy. And if we intentionally do that, if we intentionally behave that way to irritate people, that is karma. Why? Because this action is rooted in greed, hate, delusion. So that's what we mean when we say, when our action is rooted in greed, hate, delusion, which is karma, it has got potential of karmic fruits. Yeah? So, in other words, we've got to watch this kind of negative habit. So one way is to prevent them from happening, right? Learn to take breaks, learn to relax, learn to be at peace with yourself. So karma is a very useful idea which we use to help us understand how our mind works, how our body and speech works, and how we affect other people. Karma is about how our actions affect other people, and how other people's actions affect us, and how best to make of them, of our actions and reactions, if you like. And so today we're looking at different aspects of karma before we go into the sutta. Very often when we hear people talking about karma generally, where people like to say, oh, something bad happened, must be your karma. Eh? Or if something bad happens to us, we say, oh, it's my karma. You don't do well in your exam, you say, oh, it's my karma. You can't find the right partner for your life, so it's my karma. Okay, and so on. So next thing I punch you and say, it's your karma. Then it doesn't sound right. So not everything is due to karma. Because this idea is called a consequentialist idea on the board there. Consequentialist ethics. It's a very common idea in Buddhism. It's not exactly wrong, but it's not a very good idea either. It's the old idea. It's the old school idea which the Buddha compassionately accepted. Because if he said no to this idea, a lot of people probably won't be attracted to Buddhism. This was the whole idea in India even before the Buddha's time. They believe you do something good, you get good results. You're kind to the gods, then they will bless you. You make offerings, and the gods will bless you. So if I give you something, I get something back, something like that. Consequential, the consequence. This is the idea behind merit making. I do something good, right? Then I get good results. But it's not exactly a bad idea. It's a very simple way of telling ourselves good comes from good, bad comes from bad. To a certain extent this is true, but don't take it totally to be true, because as I said, if you look around, you will notice in life good does not always come from good, and also you might say bad does not always come from bad. And we like to say thinking makes it so. I never liked this statement before, because people like to say, oh, good or bad, thinking makes it so. Yeah? The Buddha never said that. Misquote the Buddha. But today I can tell you in a way where it might be right to say that thinking makes it so, but you must see the context properly here. Remember I told you just now, if we are suffering, we can learn a lot of things from it. Suffering is a great teacher. And some suffering is bad. Suffering comes from bad karma. If you like, you can say that provisionally. If you say provisionally, you are safe, okay? In this case. So, something bad happens to me. Of course, I can be very upset, find fault with people, take revenge, curse, and so on. It makes the matters worse, right? On the other hand, I can say, alright, this is bad karma. Or you might even make a mistake yourself. You get very upset and you scolded somebody, or worse things. But then you look back and say, wow, I never thought I can be so angry. Why did I get angry? Why did I get so upset? Then you discover something about yourself. You discover your weaknesses. And also you discover those negative things you didn't do. So by examining yourself, you begin to know yourself better. This is called yoniso manasikara. Wise attention, wise consideration. You examine yourself. Honestly, you don't have to tell anybody, so you can honestly examine yourself. You might not notice much things at first, so you got to go on watching, go on reflecting, and then put things together. Then you begin to understand yourself better. You begin to know yourself better. Whether you like it or not, as you grow older, as you become older, especially when you're past 50, even past 40, you begin to see all these patterns in your life. You begin to know what kind of person you are and how to strengthen yourself. If you have not, then you should read more suttas. Read the suttas more carefully, more deeply. So here, karma as consequentialism, consequential ethics. I do good, I get good, right? This idea of merits, which is fine. The Buddha said, don't be afraid of merits. But there's one problem with merits. The Buddha also warns us, merit means good. But your good karma keeps you stuck in this world, in samsara, and Mara is smiling at you. Mara says, yes, this person is in my realm. Mara's realm is the sense world. Whenever you depend on the senses, Mara is there behind you, wanting you to enjoy whatever you are enjoying and get caught up with it. But when you stop, then Mara loses touch with you. Especially when you're meditating. When you're meditating, you're stopping all these activities. You're letting go of the senses. That's why we sit very quietly when we meditate. Because you're letting go of the five senses. We go directly into the mind. And once you attain a level of jhana, from jhana upwards, Mara can't see you. Mara becomes blind. You blind Mara by your mental focus. When you're at peace with yourself, Mara can't see you. It's a very interesting way of talking. So, merit is good, yes. Merit gives you the creature comforts of life, which is fine. So if you know how to use merit wisely, that's great too. Sometimes good karma can ripen all at the same time until you do not know what to do. You find you just don't need so much good karma. Let's say, one of my great loves are books, so I used to collect thousands of books when I was back in Malaysia. And then I lost all those books because I had to move to Singapore. And now I find that you can easily get all those books online. And I have thousands of those books now. I tell myself, my goodness, I don't need all those books in my study. I just need a few books. So imagine, if you have more books than you need, you have to read more books, and that can be really tiresome. So good karma is not always good. And it's just like money. You get much more money than you need. That's when you suddenly have a lot of friends. Everybody is your relative. Everybody tries to be nice to you for various reasons, and then you find very comfortable. You never say wherever you go. So there you are. Good karma is not always good. Of course, good karma is better than bad karma. You see? My point is the middle way is still the best way. Because if you are contented, the little you have makes you feel like a rich man. I am poorer than any monk in Singapore or Southeast Asia, if you like, except compared to forest monk, who doesn't touch money. But then I know a whole cross-section of Singapore, right from the top down to the bottom, if you like. And in a sense, whatever I need, I can get it if I want to. People who are willing to help. But the point is, I ask myself, what do I really need? What I really need is happiness. And that's something I have to find myself. And the next thing I discover, I can give that happiness to others also, through the Dharma. So in that sense, you don't need much of material wealth to be truly happy if you learn to give. And you are capable of giving. A lot of people try to give, but got nothing to give. Empty talk. Right? So this is where, if you have happiness to give, you are truly wealthy. So, consequential ethics, this idea of cause-effect of karma, which is one of the traditional ideas in Buddhism, but it doesn't bring you awakening. It keeps you in samsara. It keeps you in this cycle of birth and death. But it gives you all the comforts, yes. But of course, when you have the comforts, you can also lose those comforts, right? So there's this give and take situation. So we have a second kind of view of ethics. It's called virtue ethics. It's the second term there. And this is more close to Buddhist training. The training of Sila Sikha, training in moral virtue. The purpose of behaving well through body, speech and mind, the purpose of creating good karma is to better ourselves. That's the meaning of virtue ethics, to better ourselves. Or if you like, you can even have another idea of karma with a goal. We are creating all this good karma because our goal is letting go to attain nirvana. That's a bit deep and philosophical, so I won't go into that. I'll just stay up to tonight in this virtue ethics. Whatever we do through body, speech and mind is to help us become better people. Better people means what? Trained in body and speech, bhavita kaya, cultured, cultivated in body and speech. You see, you go to Thailand, you find people generally are very cultivated. Even the way they walk, the way they talk. One of the things in Thailand is you find people never cross the path of another person. They regard as very rude. And that is something we see very common here. Right? So even in Japan, you find that people that are so cultured. A lot of it is because of Buddhism. Because in Buddhism, the term bhavitakaya is a very important term, a cultivated body. It means speech and action are mindful, restrained. And then you have mentally cultivated. Mentally cultivated. That means the mind is restrained. The mind is, you are mindful in other words. So, cultivated in body, cultivated in mind, and then cultivated in wisdom. Triple training, right? So, this karma, dealing with body and speech, is to help us become better people, so that we're happier, we let go of more and more defilements, our 3 doors of karma are clarified, we live happily here and now, and our future life also happy, and then our goal is, in this life itself, string winning, and we're on the way to awakening. We can also say that we can compare consequentialist ethics as more like a materialistic approach to karma. You get a worldly kind of joy, and whereas the virtue ethic is more of a spiritual kind of benefit. All right? So Then there's a couple more points before we go into the sutta. People who might be good their whole life can still be reborn in a suffering state when they die. People have done bad things in their life. It's possible that after they die, they could be reborn in a happy place. It's one of the strange things the Buddha observed. Why? Because the last thought moment is besides the kind of rebirth you have in the next life. So the moment of passing away is very important. Right? So in other words, it is wrong to say, as some of the old teachers in the Buddha's time, non-Buddhist teachers say, anyone who kills, steals, or commits sexual misconduct, just by those actions alone, they will surely be reborn in hell. Right? The God religions like to say that, isn't it? If you don't believe in this religion, you go to hell. So immediately the action, as it were, immediately condemns you to be reborn to hell. The Buddha says, if that's the case, it's impossible for us to be good. There's no point in becoming good because we all have done wrong things. It doesn't work that way. And this also gives hope to people who have done bad things. Some people may tell you, I've done so many bad things, no point of me going to the temple anymore, no point of me becoming good anyway, I'm bad, I'm tainted, I'm condemned, things like that. That is a fatalistic idea. No matter how bad we are, no matter how low we have sunk, we are still able to rise up. It's possible to change. There are a number of stories here. For example, the case of this public executioner. He met Sariputta, very wise, who gave him Dhamma discourse. And although he's been a very vicious and bloody killer, because of the calm teaching and clear teaching, he was able to clear his mind and he passed away happy. So reborn in a happy state. And yet you can have someone who's very happy, wise and good, but in the last thought moment, there was a negative thought. Like in the case of the Queen Mallikā, she was a good lady, but she made one blunder and she was reborn in an unhappy, suffering state for a while. We'll look at the story in a moment. So in other words, what this point is that it's okay if you occasionally, unmindfully make a mistake. You got to tell yourself, okay, something went wrong here. Why did it go wrong? And then you examine it, and then clear it away. Make a resolve to overcome it. Do your metta. That's the meaning. So it's different when a wise person makes mistakes, and then you wisely recovers from it, correct yourself. So everyone has a chance to change with this kind of idea. No one is condemned. Then you have the famous Mallikā Sutta, right? The teaching about a good person who's habitually good. Occasionally he may, break the precept or do some bad stuff for various reasons. But because he has habitually been doing good things, that karma somehow doesn't affect him, the bad karma. It's like someone with a lump of salt, it throws into the river Ganges, the water is still not salty. But someone who's habitually bad, and he keeps on doing bad things, the results are very powerful. It will hit back him very hard. It's just like you put this lump of salt in a small little bowl of water and then you stir, it's very salty. So this is where we're talking about this habit. If you're habitually good, you are safe. We still make mistakes, but somehow we are resilient. We can come back to the middle way, so to speak. So these are some final points about karma we must be aware of. Maybe you might need to rewind this video and then listen to it again. Or better still, read this chapter, Introduction to Chapter 10 of SD 39, and read up the various trust references also. Okay, let's look at the sutta now. Page 175, the discourse to Mallikā on karma, A4197. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jeta's Grove near Savatthi. Then Queen Mallikā approached the Blessed One, saluted him, and sat down at one side. Seated thus at one side, Queen Mallikā said this to the Blessed One. What is the reason, Bhante? What is the cause that here a certain woman is ugly and deformed, or very mean appearance, and the poor, having few things, of little wealth, and of little influence? Right? So this is the first case. The person, in this case, of course, Queen Mallikā is about a woman, ugly, and also poor and disadvantaged. People don't like her. Second kind of person. What is the reason, Bhante? What is the cause that here a certain woman is ugly, deformed, or very mean appearance, but rich, of great riches, with great wealth, and of great influence? Here you're someone, not very good looking, but wealthy and influential. And then, third category, what is the reason, Bhante? What is the cause that here a certain woman is very beautiful and pleasant looking, supremely charming, accomplished in beauty of complexion, but poor, having few things, of little wealth, of little influence? And then the fourth one, what is the reason, Bhante? What is the cause that here a certain woman is very beautiful and pleasant looking, supremely charming and accomplished in beauty of complexion, and rich, and with great riches, with great wealth, and great influence? Right? Four possible categories. Right? So first one, the person is ugly and poor, disliked. Second, ugly but rich, influential. Number three, beautiful but not rich, not influential. Number four, all the good qualities are there. Beautiful, rich, influential. Okay, so now the Buddha replies. You can see the Buddha applies systematically 1, 2, 3, 4. 2.1. Dear Mallikā, a certain woman is angry, often irritable. Even over a trivial remark, she is cross, shaken, vexed, stubborn, shows a temper and anger and sulkiness. She is not a giver of food, grains, cloth, vehicles, garlands, scents, ointments, beddings, dwelling or lights to recluses or Brahmins. Now notice the first condition is that of easily getting angry, violent in temper. Number two, selfishness. Not giving, not charitable to recluses and Brahmins. Of course, in the Buddha's time, recluses and Brahmins are the two groups of people. Recluses are the holy men who are not Brahmins. Brahmins, the standard class, if you like. In this case, the Brahmins, the Buddha is talking about good Brahmins, not the bad ones. So the Buddha was quite open-minded. Of course, today we can say recluses are the monks, because the word recluse refers to monks Buddha's time also. Brahmins would refer to the lay teachers in general. Furthermore, she is jealous in her heart, envious in other words. Jealous of others receiving gains, honor, respect, esteem, homage and worship. She is vengeful and holds grudges. Right? So three things makes a person ugly and also unfortunate. Anger, selfishness and envy. Now you may notice, a traditional Asian generally be very friendly. Right? We heard this. And I mean, if you really listen to your parents or traditional, they'll tell you, show a sweet face, and show sour face to people. Give what you can, people. I remember my grandmother, she used to wait at the big window in the Peranakan house in Malacca, and she would actually call beggars to come and give them 10 cents. In those days, 10 cents is a lot of money, but we're talking about like 50, 60 years ago. And when she passed away, wow, we were just surprised. So many people came to her funeral. And then the next thing is not to be envious of people. Right? We try to say nice things about other people when they're successful. In fact, we're happy of talking bad about ourselves. We're self-effacing, we call it. We like to say nice things about other people. So you can see these Buddhist values very deeply entrenched in Asian culture. But we are fast losing these things now in our new Singapore, if you like. Eh? That's why you need the suttas. The sutta will give us this very wonderful living culture. 2.4. If she thereupon dies and returns to such a state, wherever she is reborn, she is ugly, deformed, or very mean appearance. Right? So these three things, and also, and she is poor, having few things, of little wealth and little influence. I mean, it's obvious because she has not been giving, so she will not be rich. And she has been envious, angry, so she doesn't have beauty. And because she's envious, she lacks influence. So if you notice, they're very closely related. The habits that we have will make us become that. It's just like some time ago I mentioned how we are reborn as animals, or how we are reborn as the sub-human levels, as pretas and asuras and hell beings. It depends on our behavior now. If we are greedy and we treat people badly, and we're very fierce, someone will say, wow, the Kamma is fierce like a tiger, those are metaphors, but you become really a tiger after death. Why? Because our mind is that of an animal. Our mind is that of a subhuman. Body is human, yes. But once the body runs out of date, ROD, the mind is that of an animal mind. So this mind will look around for that kind of balance. And then it will be reborn in that way. As animals, for example. Of course, the pretas will just reborn like that. So how you think, you end up that way. Sometimes it's like a sad, we behave that way already, like a drug addict. You see how they look very different from other humans. So that's the first kind of person, ugly and poor, and also no influence. The second kind of person, who is ugly but fortunate. 3.1. Furthermore, here Mallikā, a woman is angry, often irritable. When told even a little, she is cross, shaken, vexed, stubborn, and shows her temper, anger, and sulkiness. But she is a giver of food, drinks, cloth, vehicles, garlands, scents, ointments, beddings, dwelling, and lightings to recluses and brahmanas. Notice money is not mentioned here. What is talking about holy man at this time? I was reading a very interesting book, History of Knowledge, by one of those very great philosophers, modern philosophers. He says that the idea of money as a means of exchange, as having value, is a modern idea, post-industrial revolution. Before that, even in the time of Robin Hood or even 17th century, people never thought of money as if you have a lot of money, you are rich or powerful. Especially in the Middle Ages. Because in the Middle Ages, the class system. If you are born as a peasant, you have to work as a peasant. No matter how rich you are, you won't. It makes no difference anyway. So it's more like exchange. That's your duty. You have to do that anyway. So this idea of money as having power and wealth and value is a modern idea. So you find, anyway, in the Buddhist time, do not have that idea like what we have today. But still, they know that this, because they use gold and silver, and that in many ways would make you a worldly person. So the monks and the Brahmins are not supposed to handle them. So okay, now the third kind of person, right? A woman who is beautiful but unfortunate. Furthermore, Mallikā Sutta woman is not angry, not often irritable. In other words, she controls herself, she's very pleasant. But she's not a giver of food, drinks, cloth, vehicles, garlands, scents, ornaments, beddings, dwellings, lightings to recluses and Brahmins. Furthermore, she is jealous in her heart, jealous of others receiving gains, honor, respect, esteem, homage, and worship. She is vengeful and holds grudges. If she thereupon dies and returns to such a state, she is reborn. She is very beautiful and pleasant looking, supremely charming, accomplished in beauty of complexion, but she is poor, having few things, of little wealth, of little influence. Right? So someone who has anger, but also not generous. She has no anger, but the other two negative qualities she has. Right? So she'll be born beautiful, but poor, no influence. The fourth kind of person is both beautiful and fortunate. So it's understandable in this case the person doesn't show anger, the person is calm, friendly, smiling. And number two is generous, is a giver. And number three, she does not show jealousy. She's magnanimous, open-handed, open-hearted. If you like, it's the word open, open face, open-hearted, open-handed, all open. Alright, wonderful person. So she's reborn, beautiful, rich, influential. Obviously, the man, handsome, rich, influential, if you like. Right, then the Buddha summarizes everything again. So sit there, you are these seven things. Then Mallikā, having understood, she gives a line raw. Verse 7. When this was said, Queen Mallikā said this to the Blessed One. Now then, Bhante, surely in some previous life I was angry, often irritable. When told even a little, I was cross, shaken, vague, stubborn, showed my temper, anger, and sulkiness. That this I hear, Bhante, am ugly, deformed, of very mean appearance. Right? so she admitted that she's not beautiful. But we know from stories that actually she is beautiful. I mean, it's for that reason that the king married her in the first place. But she's so, what shall I say, self-effacing, so humble, that she thinks that she's not beautiful. So notice here, very interesting how karma works. Right? Someone may be beautiful, but thinks that she or he is not beautiful. So, karma is not a fixed absolute, it's relative to how you see yourself. Like I said, someone could be very rich and still not happy, Being rich is good karma, right? Yet the person is not happy. Most Singaporeans, everything in life, so to speak. Yeah? So, but yet, we find many of them are not happy. They have good karma, but they do not know how to be happy. So that's why you need the Dharma. Okay? So she says, probably in some past life, she has been showing anger. And because of that, now she is ugly. And now then, Bhante, surely in some previous life I was a giver of food, drinks, and so on. So in the past life I was generous. So now that this I here, Bhante, am rich with great wealth, with much influence, much affluence. Affluence. Affluence means wealth. Okay. Now then, Bhante, surely in some previous life I had no jealousy in my heart, not jealous at other people's gains and so on. Right? So then she makes a kind of a declaration to the Buddha. 15. From this day forth, Bhante, I will not be angry, nor will I often be irritable. Even when I'm told much, I will not be cross, not shaken, not vexed, not stubborn. I will not show my temper, anger, or sulkiness. So, when you read something like this, what does it mean? It means here the Buddha has influenced this woman to change her attitude. She's no more fierce and angry. Okay? But the Dharma has made her better. So this is virtue ethics. She has become a better person. Mallikā has become a better person. She doesn't want to be angry. 17. And I will be a giver of food, drinks, cloth and so on, all the other things that are givable. I will continue to be generous, she says. 18. Furthermore, I will have no jealousy in my heart, not be jealous of other people's receiving gains and so on and so forth. Right? So she's, notice here, she's telling herself, I will do these happy things. So here again is where we can learn, but by making proactive decisions. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like this, or this negative thing I'm not going to do. You tell yourself that, and you do it. And then she's very happy, she takes refuge. It's excellent Bhante, excellent Bhante. Just as if Bhante, one were to place upright what had been overturned, or were to reveal what was hidden, or were to show the way to one who was lost, or were to hold up a lamp in the dark so that those with eyes could see forms. In the same way, Bhante, in numerous ways, the Dharma has been declared by the Blessed One. I, Bhante, go to the Blessed One for refuge, to the Dharma, and to the company to the community of monks. May the Blessed Gautama remember me as a laywoman, Upasika, who has gone to him for refuge this day forth for life. Okay? Notice Mallikā's going for refuge formula is quite different. She addresses the Buddha in a respectable way, showing her deep faith. She's saying, may the Blessed Gautama, may the Blessed One, she doesn't mention Gautama actually.
CE.
Sorry?
CE.
Yeah. In the CE, the Sinhalese version as the Gautama, which is unlikely. If she is respectful of the Buddha, she will never address the Buddha by name. Okay? I mean, this is a social convention. Okay? So the sutta ends here. Right? Now, there's a very strange story about Mallikā. Apparently, before she knew the Buddha, there's some bad habits she had. The story when once she was in the bathroom and she broke the third precept with an animal, with a dog. So it's a very strange story. And apparently, when she was dying, she remembered this negative thought. So because the negative thought, which no one else knew about, by the way, only she knew, and the Buddha knows about it. And because of the negative thought, she was reborn in a suffering state. So the king was very sad. The king keeps asking the Buddha, please tell me, where has my queen been reborn? Now, this is where, if the Buddha told the king the truth, then the queen is reborn in a suffering state, the poor king was very upset. It's a very emotional man. So this is where the Buddha changed the subject. The Buddha didn't answer, just kept silent, or spoke something else. And for 7 days this went on. The 7 days on earth is much longer than, relatively longer than 7 days. It's a longer time in the hellish state. And on the 7th day, the karma finishes, the effect of it, and she's reborn in the heavenly state. Then the king asks again, and that's when the Buddha replied, oh, okay, yes, Your Majesty, she's reborn in the heavens. The kings were happy for that. So there you see this idea of someone sometimes who do bad things, but when passing away, think of those bad things, and then the result comes. But even then, it's only for a short while. Suffering is for a short while. And the person's reborn in a happy state. So meaning here that good wins in the end. Okay, we end it here. Any questions?
So for the first group of being, can his last thought moment be good?
Sorry?
The first group of people,
Uh-huh.
can his last thought moment be good?
First group, what do you mean first group?
The first group, the fourth category.
Oh, you mean the person who's angry
Ah.
and selfish and also jealous?
So can the last thought moment be good?
Possible, yes.
Possible.
Anyone's.
So the guy fit in the fourth group, fourth category.
Mallikā actually, Mallikā claims that is she in the first category? No, she's not the first category. She's generous.
She's a second.
Second category.
Second.
Yes, she claims to be a second category. Actually, if you know her well, according to the stories in the suttas, she is in the last category actually. She has all the blessings. Just that she's very humble. She thinks that she's not pretty enough. So, another reason also being a queen, you find the king has got other women. So you may feel, oh, I'm not beautiful enough, so the king has got other consorts, Anyway, so it can be anybody at all. If their last thought moment is negative, they will be reborn in a negative state. But it doesn't mean they are condemned forever there, not at all. It's just that that state will be negative, but then they've got so many good qualities which will help them to live in a happy way, and then they'll be drawn to the Dharma if they have good qualities. Okay? But definitely it's still good to die happily. For example, doing metta regularly, then the rebirth is a happy one. It's easier to proceed from there. Any other questions?
If we do good because eventually we want to be something good, so it's very much like consequentially.
Yeah, if you think like that, yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so this Mallikā story, because she wants to be in the fourth or the fourth category,
Yeah.
then she will behave like
Yeah, you can say that in the case of Mallikā. Notice in the case of Mallikā, there's no mention that she became a streamer or anything like that. It's still a worldly way of talking. It's still the traditional idea of karma, see. Whereas you can see, because she's not a monk or a nun. Whereas when the Buddha talks to monks or nuns, then the idea of karma will be raised to a higher level. It will be more of a virtue ethics. So for lay people, very often the Buddha will say, oh, you keep the precepts, then you get blessed with all this happiness now, happiness hereafter. Because most of these people they're not interested in going to Nirvana yet. Okay. And in fact, sometimes they might say that the Dharma, there's a bit of even stream winning is there indirectly. The Buddha doesn't mention directly. For example, even in the Digajana Sutta, happiness here, happiness hereafter for lay people, the Buddha says in happiness hereafter, or spiritual happiness, it says accomplishment in wisdom means we are mindful of impermanence. We can have wealth, we can have spiritual friendship, all the other wonderful things, but you must practice watching impermanence. That's your practice as lay people, simply observing impermanence, right? So that particular action, that kind of karma is virtue ethics, is for cultivating spirituality in us. So the Buddha gives teachings according to the ability of the audience to understand, to accept. So for us, of course, we have a choice. We can choose which one we are ready for. The important thing is definitely to be happy here and now. And the next thing is look ahead a bit and how you want to be happy ahead. Right? And I often like to tell people, why not think of stream winning? Because we don't take chances with the subhuman planes. Once you fall to that state, it's going to take a long time to get out of it. Of course, there is a way out, We should be kind to animals also. We're very kind to animals. These animals have a chance of being reborn in a higher state. Of course, after that, it depends on them. For example, let's say your cats are reborn as devas in the 33, and if they live well enough and they learn the Dharma, then they become luminous. Even it's possible in those heavens, although it's very difficult. The important thing is be kind to them, then you have a chance of better rebirth. Then from there, hopefully the other good karma will ripen and they will have a chance to know the Dharma and then reflect on impermanence. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Alright, let's end here then. Today we have reflected on the nature of karma and how we can understand the nature of suffering and what we can do about it. In other words, not to give up on the fact that we can overcome our suffering or at least learn from our sufferings. And in that way we become better people. Our sufferings, if we learn from them, make us wiser, kinder, and that way better people. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of such good karma, may our minds quickly focus when we meditate. May we be at peace in this life itself. May we have wisdom so that we are able to make ourselves happy and other people's happy too. And through the various good deeds we have done, through cultivating positive habits, may we attain spiritual liberation and this stream winning in this life itself. And in this moment of peace, let us send out our loving kindness to all those people who are important to us, our loved ones, our teachers, friends. And also send our loving kindness to all those people who might not be so close to us, or who are far away from the Dharma. The Dharma may touch them and bring them great happiness. May all beings be well and happy.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.